All right, we're counting down to the NFL draft. So this is maybe our fourth annual NFL mock draft here at News4jax. This is going to be the first one where we got Alessandra on board.
I know. I'm really nervous. That's why I have my notes. And the superstar does not.
So, well, we went through all 32 picks. So we split them up between the two of us. So she was nice enough to give me the odds. So I started things off very smoothly. I went for the big shakeup. Number 1 overall, Caleb Williams, USC. I mean, the Bears can't really mess that one up. So pretty simple.
Yeah, they should. I mean, everyone knows it's going to be Caleb Williams. A lot of people are saying either Jaden Daniels or Drake May with number 2 to the Commanders. But I went with Drake May. Okay. I do like Jaden Daniels, but there's something about him. Also, he's 6'4", 223 pounds, and phenomenal arm strength. And that's why I picked him. I just liked him a little bit more. So number 2, I went with him. And the reason why I picked Evans to pick is because I didn't have to draft for the Jaguars. So everyone can be mad at him.
We'll talk a little bit more about the Jaguars. Look, I think that number 2 pick, our producer, Kevin Talley, is a big UNC fan, and he is also a Commanders fan. So, but he's also not going to be thrilled about that pick, which is the strangest thing. He's like, I watched Drake May in college. Give me somebody else in the pros. It is the strangest connection. You'd think he'd be through the roof about it, but he just dealt with Sam Howell, so he was maybe hoping for a little bit of a shakeup. But the pick works, and Jaden Daniels doesn't have to wait long. I had the odds. Patriots go, get their next quarterback. Jaden Daniels takes over for Coach Mayo up there in New England. Easy peasy. They move on and got their guy.
Yeah, I think the first 4 picks definitely are going to go by quick, and that's by Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver from Ohio State. One of the best, the best wide receiver, but one of the best guys in this draft. So he was easy to Arizona.
Look, there's no argument there. Now, I got a little weird at 5. So a lot of people are thinking maybe wide receiver to the Chargers, especially since they got rid of Keenan Allen. But Jim Harbaugh is a run-the-football kind of guy, and he just saw a guy like Joe Alt, the best offensive tackle in this year's draft class, and just could not say no. Come on now. So he builds that offensive line in front of Justin Herbert, something that we'll talk about with the Jaguars maybe a little bit later on. Build the offensive line in front of your young quarterback. Seems like a recipe for success. Joe Alt goes number 5.
Number 6 is my hometown team. I grew up a Giants fan in New York, and the second best wide receiver in this class, who I think we talked about, the Jaguars kind of should be married to. But you know what? The Giants are going to take him 6th overall. Rome from Washington, the runner-up for the national championship. So obviously he's played in big games. And will continue in the NFL.
He's played in big games. Rome Odunze makes a ton of sense for the Giants. Get Daniel Jones or whoever their quarterback of the future is, somebody to throw the ball to. At number 7, Titans had a tough decision here because I could have gone a different way, but the Titans are just kind of nasty kind of football team, and they've got a coach that wants to build an offensive line. Those Callahan guys, they tend to like offensive linemen. Talisi Fuaga. Big, nasty offensive tackle, possibly a right tackle or guard in the NFL. Would be a crazy guard. That offensive line for the tackle or for the Titans gets a whole lot better with that pick.
And number 8 pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, and the pick is in, and it's going to be Dallas Turner from Alabama, just across state lines to Georgia. This guy, really good. I obviously watched him because I went to Alabama, so I'd watched his games this week or this season. The thing about him is he can either rush the passer or he can drop into coverage. It's kind of a double-edged sword, so I think that's why he'll go quick to the Falcons.
So this 8-9 area is one of the spots where people have talked about maybe the Jaguars considering trading up to get one of the wide receivers. And in at least the way this mock draft has fallen, I think the Jaguars would definitely be trying to work the phones because you're looking at the Falcons on the clock at 8 and the Bears on the clock at 9, and Malik Neighbors is still on the board, and the Bears just couldn't pass it up. I mean, with a guy like Neighbors, and you just got your franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams, you put the two together, plus you already had DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. Now they've got a dynamic trio of receivers, a young quarterback, or who knows, maybe the Jaguars jump up to 9, give the Chicago Bears a couple extra picks in this year's draft, and then you bring that guy to Jacksonville. But in this scenario, he goes to Chicago.
Hey, and Trent Baalke said that they're not making any move-ups or trade-ups until the draft actually starts.
Got to see who's on the board.
Absolutely, and that's when you're going to start. Because you already know, these picks, you kind of already know that they're going to be, they're going to go. But that, like you said, that's kind of where they'll start. Number 10. The other New York team that I didn't grow up liking, Brock Bowers from the tight end from Georgia. I think I've said this guy's name so many times. If I had $1 for every time, I'd be a millionaire. He is so good. Probably, would you agree, one of the best tight ends ever for college?
I'd say so. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. Yeah.
extremely elite. That's why he's going to go 10 to the New York Jets, who need all the help they can get.
He's going to be make Aaron Rodgers a very happy camper, getting a chance to throw. When was the last time, like, at least when he was in Green Bay, they never invested first-round picks in offensive guys for him to throw the ball to. So this might be the first time in at least a long time that Aaron Rodgers got a first-round pick spent on a pass catcher for him. Aaron Rodgers might throw a party. All right, let's move on through this draft class all over to number 11, and that is where we get to the Minnesota Vikings. This was simple. Vikings don't have a quarterback. Right now, they're penciling in like Case Keenum. J.J. McCarthy's the next quarterback on the board. A lot of people think the Vikings are a team that might trade up to try and go secure J.J. McCarthy. In this go-around, they get him at 11.
For 12, I was, listen, we just like to wing it over here. And I do have Brock Bowers listed for the Broncos through my research, but I already picked him. So I'm like, you know what? The Broncos need everything they can get. So why not get a quarterback since they don't have one? Michael Penix Jr. is one I went with. A lot of people think Bo Nix. But there's something about it's something about the Washington team this year I really liked, okay? So I'm all for Michael.
Look, I think Michael Penix Jr. is a good pick there. I can't argue with it. Bo Nix probably would have been okay, but I think Michael Penix Jr. is going to end up being the better pro. He's going to fit very well into a Sean Payton offense. At 13, first cornerback goes off the board. I know he was a guy that a lot of Jaguars fans were hoping might slide down the board, but Quinyon Mitchell, just too much for Coach Pierce and those Raiders to move past. Quinyon Mitchell goes to Las Vegas and joins that Raiders defense.
With 14, you already know what his name is, okay? You already know who he is.
Dude,
and you are...
No, say it.
For sure...
Fashanu. Olu Fashanu.
And you for sure know that he's going to be part of the Saints, okay? You see it right there? Just do it.
The Saints have probably the biggest need on offensive line in this year's draft class out of any team. They got problems at both tackle spots. Ryan Ramczyk come back from a knee injury. They don't know if he's going to be ready for the season. No-brainer. One of the top tackles in the class slides to him.
You grew up a Saints fan, didn't you?
Grew up a Saints fan. Born
Are you
and
happy
raised.
with my pick?
Look, it makes sense. Like I said, the offensive line's a problem. The offensive line's a problem. I might not like Derek Carr, but you know what? You got to block for him. Somebody's got to. All right, 15 on the clock. Indianapolis Colts. Another cornerback goes off the board. Not a guy that I think would fit in Jacksonville, but a guy who will fit perfectly into an Indianapolis defense. Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. He is fantastic in zone defense. Crazy athlete. Some people are saying maybe he plays safety. He has versatility, but I think he can play cornerback in the NFL.
Yeah, at 16, I went with an edge. Latu from UCLA. Period.
That's it.
Upset.
Look, this is a Seattle Seahawks kind of pick. Laiatu Latu is fantastic. He's going to fit right in that culture up there in Seattle.
Keep him on the West Coast.
That's it. Keep him on the West Coast, too. He actually goes back to where it all started because he was in Washington before the injury. So hopefully, maybe he has a little bit more success with Seattle. I like Laiatu Latu. All right, so now that brings us to 17. The Jaguars are officially on the clock. And with the way the board slid with us going through this mock draft, going through the first 16 picks, the Jaguars got to be feeling pretty good right now. They're sitting there and they're looking at each other and saying, wow, Terrion Arnold's on the board. Wow, Brian Thomas is on the board. Wow, A.D. Mitchell's still on the board. Look, they got options. Troy Fatando's still on the board, the offensive tackle, offensive guard from Washington. The Jaguars are sitting there and they got a lot of players that they can pick from.
Listen, I'm dead set. Frank Bridge and I are both dead set that they're going corner. It's just the most immediate need for them. And I get everyone wants a wide receiver, but they have a few wide receivers that are really good. And they can draft one in the first round that would be really good. But Marvin Harrison Jr. is done. Rome's done. They're already drafted high. I like the wide receivers that are left, but I just think corner is the most necessary thing. And also, look at what the Jaguars did this offseason. They got rid of all of their defensive staff. So obviously the defense was the issue. So why would you not address that first in the first round?
Look, it just makes sense. I mean, Trent Baalke, even in his pre-draft press conference, he said, if it's a tie for talent, they're going to go with the need. Cornerback is a big need on this roster, and there's some good cornerbacks sitting on the board. Terrion Arnold is considered one of the kind of best in college football. Another Alabama guy, Kool-Aid McKinstry, a guy I'm a fan of, is also on the board.
Roll Tide.
There you go. I also like Nate Wiggins from Clemson, another cornerback. He's a cornerback that I mocked to the Jaguars when we did our mock drafts just a couple of weeks ago. But in that situation, Terrion Arnold was not still on the board, and Terrion Arnold is one of the consensus top guys in this draft class. I might like Kool-Aid McKinstry a little bit better, but in this go-around, as we go through everything, I landed on going Terrion Arnold to Jacksonville. I don't think anybody's going to be too upset with the Jaguars landing a new corner.
No, absolutely. And like you said, there were a few corners that were still on the draft board at that point. So really any of them could probably be good, hopefully. But we're going with Terrion Arnold.
So that's perfect. Add to that defensive backfield. They can add a wide receiver in the second round. This is a good wide receiver class. You got to remember that it's not just a one-round class for the Jaguars. So still a lot of work for them to do. All right.
And by the way, FSU fans, we all picked Keon Coleman in the second round for the Jaguars. So that should make you guys really happy.
And Keon has been a busy guy in the lead up to the draft. One of the most visited players. Teams are doing their homework on this guy. Keep in mind, the 40 time might have been slow, but Anquan Bolden, another FSU guy, he ran a slow 40 time and had a fantastic NFL career. Just saying.
Maybe he was tired.
Maybe he was tired.
Maybe he was stressed out.
That was it. All right, up to 18. Who you got?
We're going Alabama back-to-back. 18 is going to be J.C. Latham to the Bengals. He's really, really good. One of the only good tackles or one of the only good offensive linemen in Alabama this year. He has the star potential, and he could definitely be an immediate impact player for them.
All right, we were talking Florida State guys. The top Florida State guy left on the board, Jared Verse, he finds a home in L.A. He goes and joins that Rams defensive line, gives them a boost on the West Coast, so he'll have a long flight to his new home.
And we're going to the Pittsburgh Steelers with the 20th pick. They're taking a tackle, also from Washington. I just realized I'm taking a lot of Washington people.
All the Washington guys.
I don't know what's happening here. We're going to take Troy Fautanu. This is a Steelers type of guy, and that's why the Steelers are going to take him.
Look, he is perfect to go to Pittsburgh, build that offensive line out. He wears like bike shorts out on the field. Like his pants are like up to his thigh. And he was doing that in Washington. It was cold. It gets cold in Pittsburgh. He's still going to have them lady big shorts on.
He is very big too.
He is a big boy. He's a big boy, so he's perfect to go up there to Pittsburgh. All right, at 21, down South Florida, they get a new defensive tackle. Byron Murphy II from Texas joins them. They just lost a big defensive tackle during free agency, Christian Wilkins, so they replace him pretty seamlessly with one of the top defensive tackles on the board this year, Byron Murphy.
Yeah, with 22, the Eagles and the Georgia Bulldogs have like kind of a relationship. They do. So there's no reason why they're not going to take tackle Amarius Mims. I watched this guy this season on top of Brock Bowers. He's really, really good. Let me tell you this stat. One, he's 6'7", ginormous, 340 pounds. On top of that, he's allowed only one pressure, only one, on 168 snaps last season in the SEC. That is insane. That also is NFL first-round talent.
There you go. And he is a big guy. If you ever get bored, you look up his high school highlights, and he looks like a grown person out there with itty-bitty children. He is just towering over everyone else on the field. All right, 23, I got Nate Wiggins, one of my favorite corners in this year's class, going to Minnesota. He finds a home there up with the Vikings.
With 24, I'm going with, I remember before free agency, a lot of people thought, hey, maybe Powers Johnson, the center from Oregon, could be married with the Jaguars and Jaguars could draft him. Well, we just got a center, so we don't need that anymore. This is why Dallas Cowboys, they need the help, and why not keep it and go to Oregon? Go Ducks.
Perfect. All right, at 25, Graham Barton goes to Green Bay. Graham Barton, probably the most versatile offensive lineman in this year's draft class. He can play any spot on the front five. Got to get Jordan Love a little bit more time. They'll be able to move him around. Packers have some needs along that offensive line, so he gives them the versatility to pick a spot. And Graham Barton's really good, too, not just versatile.
Okay, to 26, to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were last in rushing average the last two seasons, so they obviously need some help, and that's why they're going to take the tackle from BYU, Kingsley, period.
I'm not even going to try that one. I told her
know.
after she picked it, I said, you're very brave. I think it's Suma Matia, something along those lines, but he's pretty good out of BYU. All right, let's move along to 27. So on 27, the Cardinals double dip here. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe this was by design. Maybe I just forgot about Marvin Harrison Jr. Or Kyler Murray is throwing a party because he left day one, and now he's got Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brian Thomas Jr., both of the juniors joining the Arizona Cardinals as Kyler Murray just drops back and throws it up every down. Done.
Well, I want to go to that party, so Kyler just sent me an invite. With 28 going all the way upstate New York, Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver from Texas. This guy's really good. He's going to be a very good weapon for them. They obviously need the wide receiver help because The AFC South just got there, Stephon Diggs. So I think obviously it's kind of a no-brainer for them to take him. Also, the one thing, he's a bigger guy, 6'4". They have two like kind of shorter receivers already on the roster, so he's going to be able to blend well in that receivers group.
Bill's got to boost that wide receiver room because Diggs came to the AFC South, and so did Gabe Davis. So who's Josh Allen throwing the ball to? We don't know. How about
Johnny Mitchell?
That's it. Touchdowns. All right. Detroit Lions, they land Kool-Aid McKinstry. We've got a Lions fan that's sitting in our newsroom. He's been campaigning for Kool-Aid, and he actually told me that I thought Kool-Aid was going to be off the board. Oh, our director, also a Lions fan, said he's with him. So Matt Harms said Kool-Aid's a good pick. I thought Kool-Aid would be gone by now, but when he was on the board, it was a no-brainer. Send Kool-Aid to Detroit. Join that Dan Campbell defense. He seems like a Dan Campbell kind of guy, too, so it's perfect.
With 30, the Baltimore Ravens, they're going to take a tackle from Oklahoma, Tyler Guyton. This guy, he may be big, but he moves very well. And you need that, so that's who the Ravens are going to draft.
All right, at 31, we're almost wrapping this thing up now. 31, San Francisco 49ers. I couldn't let Jerzon Newton slide out of the first round. Johnny Newton is a fantastic football player. He is sliding down boards because of a possible foot injury is what the reports sound like, but he is fantastic. The San Francisco 49ers know how to invest in their defensive line. They lost Eric Armstead because he came to Jacksonville. So, find a replacement. Johnny Newton, done.
I covered Johnny Newton when he was in Illinois at my last job, and he had star potential when he was a young guy there. So I'm really excited to see him. Also, great kid, so I'm excited to see him in the first round. And with the last pick in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to draft wide receiver Ladd McConkey from Georgia. I've realized that I've drafted all Washington and Georgia people.
The whole way through.
Literally the whole way through.
You drafted a Texas guy.
That's true. That's true. But here's the thing about Ladd McConkey, another guy that I watched a lot. Very versatile. And the other thing that he's really good at, and which I think he'll bring to the NFL level, is really good special teams probably talent as well, which is something you don't want to forget about, especially with the new kickoff rules. So I think that he'll probably be the last pick. And literally just do that. Kansas City, just let me do your job for you.
Ladd McConkey's fantastic. I covered him briefly in high school, went to North Murray High School, same place where Billy Napier, Florida Gators head coach, went.
Gators.
There you go. That's why she made the pick, and I go, Billy Napier will be really happy. I don't know if he made the connection, but North Murray High School, small world, I did going back and find one high school touchdown that I shot of Ladd. So, yeah, fantastic guy. He is a baller. That is our Sports4jax full 32. We'll see how many of these we actually get right. If the Jaguars walk out with Terrion Arnold, though, I think everybody will be pretty happy with that overall thing. So if everything else falls into place, I think Terrion Arnold for the Jaguars, our mock draft would be a win.
Absolutely.
So we'll have plenty more coverage on draft day. You'll make sure you tune in here to Channel 4. We will have live coverage starting at 7 o'clock with our draft special, and we will see you then. Thanks for hanging out with us.